You know, that kind of thing has happened to me before, except it was my son. I walked into his room one day and I was like, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Watching anime on his phone." You know, I go, "Really? What are you watching?" "Soul Eater." It's like, "Oh, you know, your old man plays Lord Death." He goes, "Yeah, I'm watching the Japanese version." Get out. How's everyone doing? Well, I'm very excited myself because I have never done a panel with these two amazing people. So this is new for me.
New for me too, because the last time I was there, you weren't there.
The last time I was there, you weren't there.
I know, that's why.
Wait, the last time you were there, I was not there.
That's why this is the first time.
So why don't we introduce ourselves and let them know a little bit about what we do and what we've done and whatnot.
Sounds great.
Yeah, ladies first.
Yes.
Really?
Beautiful ladies first.
No, in that case.
I was
Yeah, Mr. Swasey, please do.
2022, let's do it. So my name is Tiffany Vollmer, and I am known for the voice of the original Gangster Bulma, OG, in the house from 1998 to 2008 with FUNimation. And I am also a mommy. Hi, Ella. That's my little girl right there.
Oh.
Yeah. And a wife. Pretty good one, I hope.
Oh, I thought you were indicating that was your wife. And it's like, well, I think that's your husband.
That's my husband. I'm also a writer, director, producer. I'm on both sides of the screen, microphone, stage, all the things. I am the current author and department chair at Media Tech Institute, which is a recording arts school in Farmers Branch. And we also have the Acting for Media program, which I have written and am the department chair for, and Master Makeup Artistry. So you want to get a career and do all this stuff? Come see me. We'll talk about it. And you can go to college at the same time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very good. Yay.
I'm very, very happy to be here and see all of you. Yeah. Hi, Zach.
David, you want to go next?
Sure, it doesn't matter. My name is David Kaye, and I've it's the first anime convention I've been to in many, many, many years. My career started in Vancouver. The very first cartoon I did was, the first anime I did was Son Tendo in Ranma 1/2. That was a long time ago. Nobiki no Kane, anyway. Then first prelay was G.I. Joe, the Great American Heroes, cast as General Hawk back in the day. And it wasn't until I became a U.S. citizen that I walked out of the LA Convention Center a number of years ago and said, now I can say Great American Hero. I was always kind of embarrassed because of it, DI's animation done in Canada. It was like, so that started like, oh, I want to do this for the rest of my life. And then Exo Squad came along and more anime. And then Inuyasha, and they cast me as Shishomaru and that. And then, Dragon Ball Z was in that time when I was in Vancouver, and I came down to the US in 2007. Beastwars, Megatron, Transformers, Optimus Prime, Arishem from the Eternal movies.
No big
recently.
deal. It's not a big deal at all.
No, it's just a few. But it's just, look, I was telling these beautiful folks about, I'm just amazed that they, have me around this industry, and it's been 40 years of fun, and every day is a new day, and so I'm just grateful to be anywhere near it, honest to God. And even at 57, I'm like, they want to hire, are you sure they want to hire me? Because there's other people, out there, and they just keep giving me gigs, and they keep pulling me back in.
Yeah.
So I love it. So thank you.
I love these guys. That's all we came for. Just some David Kaye.
Yep, that's it. Bye, Dave.
My name is John Swasey, and I play a host of folks, but my big role in DBZ is Dodoria, and I also play All for One in My Hero. Thank you. Gendo in Evangelion. The real one, not the Netflix one. Although Ray Chase is here, he is the Gendo on Netflix. I just was talking to him, so yeah, go check him out. Lord Death from Soul Eater, Undertaker from Black Butler, and like these guys have been doing this for 25 plus years, and I live in Houston. I work as a full-time director at Sentai Filmworks, and I do work for Sentai and Funimation, Crunchyroll, whatever they're called now, and Okratron, and very, very proud of the fact that between Houston and Dallas, Texas is the undisputed heavyweight champion of anime when it comes to dubbing and subtitling. So give yourself a big hand, man. That's all because of you.
Hi, I'm Heath Miller. Do you want to be a voice actor, or at least up-level your career in voice acting? Elise Baughman teaches private and group sessions. Since I've started her class, I've learned the physicality, the confidence, and just how to improvise and how to become a new character. So I highly recommend taking EliseCoaches.com and give it a try.
One time somebody asked me, they go, this is a couple years ago, they're like, what do you think the state of anime is right now? I'm like, well, when I started doing this back in '97, Golden Boy was my very first show. And there were like 1 or 2 conventions a month somewhere. Now there's 6 and 7 a week everywhere. There's 3. There's one in here. There's one in Allen, Texas, which is about an hour away. And there's another one going on in another town not far from here. It was like, maybe it was a one-dayer. But I'm just like, dude, this stuff is everywhere. I'll tell you a great story. The other day, my wife and I were at a store called At Home. Have you ever heard of At Home? It's home goods and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We're getting some pots for planting and stuff like that, and pillows for
It is springtime.
Yes, that's
apropos
right.
for the season, yeah.
And we're at the checkout, and my wife, there's this guy behind the counter checking us out, and my wife just out of nowhere goes, "Do you like anime?" And I was like, "Dina, really?"
I know. Johnny, see?
And she goes, well, check this out. She goes, "What?" He's wearing his lanyard, had the At-Home badge, and but it had an anime, like a convention thing, and she recognized
Oh,
it.
yeah.
So he was just wearing it for bling, right?
I mean,
And he goes,
yes.
"Yeah, I love anime." She goes, "What's your favorite show?" He goes, "One Piece." And she turns to me and she goes, "John, who do you play in One Piece again?" I was like, and he goes, "What?"
Yeah.
I said, "Well, I play Crocodile." He's like, "Whoa, no, go."
It is the best
He's flipping out.
superpower.
There are people now lining up in line behind us. He's like calling for assistance, like, "I need help at register 2, please." He's like, "This is gonna be a minute, lady." And then she goes, "Do you like My Hero?" And he goes, "Oh my God, I love My Hero Academia." And she goes, "John, who do you play in that again?" I said, "I'm All for One." And he goes, "What?" And he had already rung everything up, and it was like $202. And he's looking at me, and he's like, "Oh my God, 180."
Yeah,
We got a 20% discount.
No way!
Yes.
Okay.
And then
all
so I did a picture
We
with
can
him.
now talk about my anime career when we're at
Yeah.
mine and
And if you're at a restaurant, just ask your waiter, do you like anime?
You know what? Actually, this is really funny. The last time I bought something at Home Goods was for my husband and mine's 6th wedding anniversary on April 20th, and I bought them 2 Grateful Dead mugs at the
Nice.
Home Goods, yeah. At the at-home store, yeah.
I got this for my midlife crisis. I got this tattoo made.
Oh, you know what I did for my midlife crisis? She's sitting on the front row. Her name is Scott.
Wow.
So people buy a sports car, I had a baby.
And they're both permanent. But I'm a huge deadhead. I love it.
Hopefully yours won't grow as fast
So-
as mine now.
So I have a big cross. I don't know if you can see, but I have a big cross and then 4 dancing
Jer
bears.
bears.
They're Grateful Dead bears.
Jer bears.
But yeah, everyone's like, "Why do you have Care Bears on your arm?" I'm like, "They're not Care Bears." Care Bears. You're my #1 fan. I love you. I thought about it. If you ever really want to find an extra side hustle, just do stand up for second graders. And just walk in and go, hey everybody, my name's John. Today we're going to talk about poopy.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's a shoot, 20 minutes.
She's going to be quoting you for the rest of the week. Thanks a lot, John. The famous guy said it, it's okay.
Yeah.
Are you interested in voice acting? Are you a professional actor or just interested in getting started in the industry? EliseCoaches.com is a great place to start with lessons. I've been taking lessons with her for the last 5 or 6 months, and in that time, I've been able to find my voice, find what I'm good at. If you guys are interested in getting started, go to www.elisecoaches.com.
Child rearing's hard, man. Do you have kids, Dave?
I do. They're a little older. My son's going up to OSU, and he's leaving the house.
Go Cowboys.
Well, yeah, OSU. That's the Beavers, Oregon State.
Oh, Oregon. I was saying, here you think Oklahoma State.
But no, yeah. He's they got a great baseball team out there, and
He plays ball?
a little bit, yeah. And he's, but anyway, he's going off. He's 24, and my daughter's 27. So it's strange because I don't know how they got, all of a sudden time goes like that,
Right.
And daughter's like.
She was a baby last week.
I have a
Time.
21-year-old daughter and an 18-year-old son, and my 18-year-old son just returned last night from the Galapagos Islands.
Wow.
He went there on a school trip. So anyway, is this a panel about something specific, or are we just going to talk about
What is the name of this panel? Does anybody know?
At one time.
Yeah, okay, so this one time on Namek. Remember that? You remember? I was there. I totally was there. I got turned into a frog. I got to ribbit for an entire episode. Ribbit. But actually, I do have a great story about that, to be honest with you. I auditioned for Bulma as I was graduating college, and I was on scholarship for acting at the University of North Texas. And I took math my final semester because I knew that if I failed it, I wouldn't be able to pay for school. So I took it my final semester and I failed it, and I ran into Chris Sabat at a bar on Christmas Eve, and he was like, hey, what are you doing? And I'm like, trying to graduate from college. And he goes, well, if you're gonna be around for a little while, I'm directing this little show. It's called Dragon Ball Z. It's out in Fort Worth. You should come audition. I was like, okay, cool. And then he pulls out a dubbed version of Xanadu cassette tape that he had in his pocket, because when we met, we sang Xanadu together, and he was like, this is weird. This must be for you. If you haven't seen Xanadu, please go watch it. Olivia Newton-John can do no wrong, and Gene Kelly's in that movie as well. So I auditioned, and I read for like 7 different voices, and one of them was Dende, who is the famous little Namekian, the little boy voice, and I got called in to do the voice of Bulma. Chris called me like 2 weeks later, and he's like, is Tiffany Vollmer there? And I'm like, huh? He's like, Bulma, that's your new character on Dragon Ball Z. And I didn't know anything about the show, right? I was just like, okay, I did a cute little audition, that was fun. And so we started recording actually Dragon Ball Z, not Dragon Ball, right? And so I'm thinking, the planet is exploding, and here I am, this little whiny girl that's like, oh, where'd you boys go, you jerks? Ah. And I thought, well, that was a great anime career, because I thought, surely she's not going to live through the planet exploding, right? Like, I thought it was over with. And then, later on we went into Dragon Ball, and I was like, kind of a big deal, But I really thought Namek exploding was the end of voice acting for Tiffany Vollmer. So, really glad it didn't work out. Namek, any stories about Namek? Any Namek stories for you? Any hit you in the
It's
Fuzzy parts?
1998. It's a while. I knew the big battle happened on Namek, correct? It's when my name is Recoome, rise with doom. The whole thing. I remember a lot of screaming.
Lots of screaming that happened.
Yeah, I always get nervous with that. Hearing that phrase "screaming" in there, it's these days I try not to scream. Or you learn to scream properly when you're doing anime.
Yes.
There's a way to scream. The only thing I say, Gosh, it's been a while. It was just, it was the heyday of Ocean and all my friends. Like, I've been seeing some of these Canadian clowns for a long time, and it's, you pick up where you left off.
You guys are quite lovely people.
We're laughing and carrying on like it would date the time didn't go by. It's just crazy.
Do you know Brian Dobson?
Yeah, of course.
So I met Brian at a convention 10 years ago in Toronto.
Yeah.
He and his brother.
Yeah.
And
Paul, or was it Brian? Paul, Brian, and Mike Dobson.
It was Mike.
It was Mike, yeah. Yeah.
And
good guy.
but when I saw he was here, I mean, I went by his table when I got here Friday, and he was just, hadn't seen each other in 10 years.
Yeah.
We've talked a little bit on Facebook or whatever. But yeah, it's the same thing. It's just you pick up right where you went and had a drink.
Such a good time.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys noticed it, but it's the voice community is pretty tight, and there's not, I can maybe a handful of people that are like, sort of on camera. I can tell you many stories about people you just don't want to hang around with, but on the voice, for some reason, we're all, it's a very wonderful community. I don't know if you guys sort of recognize that I haven't met these folks before, and it's just the nicest people, and that's just the kind of community it is. I really enjoy that about it. And I was doing some on camera in Vancouver when X-Files was going on. I was horrible on. But my life was behind here, and those are the people I wanted to hang out with, and still to this day, 20, 30 years later, we're still close friends. So
we're going to be close friends then.
We are. We're going to be close friends then. So you've got to have people ask about that. Yes, we all hang out. We still talk. I'm trying to get, just between you and I, and everybody else who's watching on, streaming, whatever. I'm trying to get a hold of Richard. We're trying to get an Inuyasha, deal together and do a tour, because I don't know how much he does and that, but he's a riot and a lot of fun. So we're hoping to get that going, because I think that'd be fun for you guys. Yeah, I know, right? That'd be fun to do a thing. But anyway, that's just my 2 cents on it. But yes, awesome. It's hard to remember what happened back then, but I know some of the quotes and what was going on. But yeah, man, it's again, how I'm here is really crazy.
Well, and they're very fortunate too, because they played lots of different voices, and I played a lot of different voices too. I was girl number 2, or the lady at the shopkeeper, or the old lady in the village. So the really well-known characters that you really remember, I played those voices too. But I do a lot of commercial work, so. If you know Kroger grocery stores, I was the in-store voice for Kroger for many years.
Oh, it's you?
This Kroger's located right in your neighborhood with a bigger, better bakery.
I need to drop by your table then, because
my favorite line that I've ever had to say in my entire life is, "Come to our deli for a wider selection of boar's heads, meats, and cheeses." Yeah. Say that 5 times fast.
Yeah.
Double dog dare you. And I do, you might be on hold and being like, "Thank you for calling the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. If you know your party's extension, you may dial it during this message at any time." I'm that chick. Yeah. So.
Yeah, when you're a voice actor, a lot of people have this misconception that, all we do, for instance, is anime, or all we do is this. And while there are some people that can do that,
Chris Abbott.
Well, but like Seth MacFarlane and people that are on The Simpsons and major stream,
Wow, you just
stuff.
said Chris wasn't as major as Seth.
But we do a lot of different stuff. So yeah, I've done a lot of commercials and whatnot, and but sometimes you do stuff and you're just like, oh my God. But one of the pinnacles of my career, I was so proud of this, because I grew up watching these commercials, and I ended up doing the commercial for Blue Star Ointment. Have you ever heard of Blue Star Ointment?
Yes, I have.
It cures ringworm, tetanus, and psoriasis. Get your ringworm, cured with Blue Star Ointment today. It was the cheesiest thing I'd ever done, but I was so thrilled I got to do it. It was like living my childhood as I got to fulfill it.
That is adorable.
So, yeah.
Blue Star, I kind of want to go get some now. Or can I still get it?
Yeah, I don't
What
know.
is it?
Probably Kroger.
What is it? Yeah. Look for the little yellow tag. Kroger,
Yeah.
the right store, the right price.
And this has nothing to do with anything except we're all parents, and you've got the oldest kids. My oldest is 21.
Yeah.
And when she turned 21, she could legally drink.
Why do all of your stories revert to drinking? Are we going to the
We're
bar
supposed to talk-
after
you-
this, John?
You just don't know me well enough.
We're
That's-
supposed to talk about bourbon, you and I. Someone told me you were
Oh
supposed to
yes,
talk about
most
bourbon.
definitely.
I can talk
I
about
had a
it.
great
Drink
bourbon.
it.
I had a
But
great
I'd
new
rather
bourbon
drink
last
it.
night I picked up. But anyway, so my daughter and I, speaking of bourbon, my daughter and I, she's 21, and we were having a little party at our house in Houston, and we were outside on the back deck, and my friend and I were like draining the bottle, and I called my daughter and I said, hey, you're on the way here, right? And she goes, yeah. And I said, could you stop at the liquor store, pick me up a bottle of Jameson's and a bottle of I said, could you pick me up some Jameson's and Wild Turkey?
Is it Jameson's?
Yes. Jameson. And she goes, sure. And said, oh, by the way, your mom also wants limes. Okay, done and done. So about 30, 40 minutes later, she calls me and she goes, hey, Dad, I got a problem. I forgot to get the Wild Turkey. I said, oh, well, that's all right. Just, did you get the Jameson? She goes, well, yeah, I'm still at the liquor store. It's like, well, then get the Wild Turkey. She goes, I already left Kroger. Honey, it's not a deli meat.
Yeah.
It's bourbon. She went,
But
and I was just like, I just wish she would have gone up to the deli manager. I see you've got oven roasted turkey, free-range turkey, mesquite turkey. I'm looking for your wild turkey. It's that inexperience, you know, and I was like, oh, you made my day. But do pick up the wild turkey while you're there.
yeah.
Anyway, sorry, that was a little way off topic.
That was fun though.
Yeah.
I like that. Got to get a bourbon conversation going. Anything
We will. It was a bourbon called, think about it. It was Hickory, Old Hickory, named after Andrew Jackson.
Yeah. Oh, cool. You know what? Another reason I like bourbon is you ever seen that the Moonshiners?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're studying, who's sort of interested in like pursuing voice acting? Anybody thought about it? Some hands up. Yeah. A few hands.
Right on.
If you listen to those guys.
All up in there like that, see? You listen to them up in here and you
Why
get
did
them.
you do that talk like that
Up in
now?
that,
It's
Why do you do that?
just listen to those voices. Listen to everybody who speaks walking by, and that show Moonshiners especially because that's
Appalachian up in there. You know, it's just.
And they ain't got no teeth up there.
Yeah, no teeth about my
That's
grandfather
right.
did the same.
and that's how you sort of start to come up with it. But I love that show for that reason, but also. Of course, the shine. It's
Yeah.
like the whole story. It's kind of
Very
fun.
shiny show.
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions about the show or about us or
Bourbon?
Bourbon?
I see the big hand going up in the middle, so it's all you. What would you like to
So
say?
this you. Would you do Exo Squad again if they brought it back?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd be Bulma again if they brought me back.
Yeah,
too.
like you know, but no, that's a. I had it on Laserdisc, and I don't know what happened to it. Remember Laserdiscs? I had a whole series on Laserdiscs, and I'm trying to figure out.
I worked at
where-
a video store, and they were the first ones to
I
carry
loved those things.
Yeah,
It was a
they were like-
collectible and cool, but
Yeah.
yeah, that was Gordon Hunt directed that. He passed away a few years ago. It's Helen Hunt's father, and
Really?
yeah, he hired me a few times, and he's a legend.
He
but that
was
was
Golden Harmony? Is that what you said?
Yeah, for his daughter was Helen Hunt, but he.
Oh, I think you said Gold Harmony.
Yeah.
She still is.
But yeah, she's still But Gordon was such a great guy. But that was one of his first directed. It was Exo Squad with him. And
Need that back.
it's a great. It was a great show. Robbie Benson was the lead, right? And it was the weirdest accent I had to do. It was Hallis was German, but it wasn't German. It had to come up with an accent that was a pain in the but it was fun.
Yeah.
Great show. It was good. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, because we get, hey, if this came back, would you do it? And it's like, oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
heartbeat.
I mean, yeah, it's bad.
You mean Word?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just curious, so I'm sure that there's roles that you guys have read for, and you read the story and you're like, wow, this is going to be huge, this is a great story, but all we've heard, the voice actors for Dragon Ball say how they never thought,
Never thought.
20 years later. So I'm just curious, when you guys talk about Dragon Ball together as a voice actor community, what is it about Dragon Ball that you think made it such a cultural icon?
It's a good question.
I mean, I think time-wise, it was kind of the beginning of anime in the United States.
Yeah.
So, you know, there was Pokemon, right?
Well, there was Robotech.
That of which we do not speak.
Yeah.
Robotech.
Yeah, but you know, I mean, even Transformers and the things that we watched growing up. But really, when Dragon Ball came into focus, it was the guys in the orange jumpsuits with the white hair that.
But also.
Very iconic. You
And
know,
I found this out not too long ago because I've wondered, you know, why, you know.
Right.
I mean, I grew up on Speed Racer. That was my first.
Oh.
game,
Yes,
you know.
mine too.
And we didn't even know it was anime. It was just like, it just looks different than American animation, but I don't know, whatever. Why is everyone going, you know, I don't know, but that's the way it is. So Robotech was Gold Harmony. That's what I was asking. I thought I heard you say that. There's a guy named Carl Masick. And Carl Masick took 3 animes across 2 others, and I can't remember what they are. But anyway, he basically chopped them up and made this show called Robotech. And they released it, and it got very popular. Everybody seen Robotech? I mean, you know. So it got very popular. But it got popular with an American audience, not so much with the anime folks. That was a very, very specific genre, you know, and niche back then. And so some people loved it, other people cursed his name for doing it. You ruined the originals, kind of thing. So that did that. Well then, when Dragon Ball came out, it was okay, but it wasn't until, this is what I found out, it wasn't until they got it on television that it exploded.
Yeah,
So
I think with the thing that was going on with Cartoon Network at the time,
Right, exactly, it's Cartoon
having
Network, right,
Adult Swim, right? And so it was like, and I even remember, you know, before Adult Swim, like when I was a kid, always finding that like little alternative channeling of, you know, kind of the cult following things like the Young Ones and, you know, British comedies and things like that. And I think that's what kind of brought the allure on too. It was like Adult Swim sounds kind of sexy, right?
Right.
It's like a little
That's something I shouldn't be
mysterious.
watching,
Right.
but I'm going to.
Yeah.
But then
Adults are
David
swimming.
also mentioned, and you work
Not
at a
wearing
video store, so
clothes, yeah.
you mentioned Laserdisc. Well, you know, back in the day, like when I first started in '97, even not to me, not that long ago, but you would get your anime on a VHS tape, and there'd be 3 episodes per tape, and it was $25 for a tape.
If I got one penny of that $25.
And you got, but here's the thing, you had to watch a whole season, it was gonna cost you well over $100.
Yeah.
Now, go through Laserdisc, DVD,
Streaming
Blu-ray,
now.
streaming, now for about 10, 15 bucks a month, you can get
I just
Tie
had
Dye,
one.
which is Sentai, you can get Funimation Now or whatever, Crunchyroll, and have access to more anime than you could ever watch in 10 lifetimes for $15 a month, which you can also split with somebody. You know what I mean? It's like, it's really $5 a month because we've got 3 of us. And so it's amazing how it is
So
just
we're doing this is what you're
exploding.
saying.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, sure,
That
sure,
happens
sure.
too. Well, so for a long time, I just collected stuff, and I was like, well, I don't want to be, you know, my mom was a very Southern woman, and she was like, don't talk about yourself so much. And I'm like, do you realize I get paid to do that now? Anyway, but I didn't ever want to like be ostentatious and be like, look at me, I'm a Leo, I need to be the center of the attention.
Only do that if you're at home and can get the
Yeah.
discount. That's where you want to do
But
it.
you know what happened for me is I have so many fans that do fan art of my character, and I love that. Huge fan of the fan art. And so I have a one wall in my dining room that is dedicated to Bulma, and everything on that wall is something that someone has made for
That's
me
nice.
or
That's
cool.
given me
That's
as a
great.
gift.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
That makes us feel good, by the way, when if you guys
Yeah.
you're dropping
Oh,
these
yeah.
pictures back. I'm like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
It just amazes me.
Right?
I'm like,
I've got 2 prints that you can come by and buy an autograph on. 2 prints that I got because a fan came up and said, "Would you sign this?" And I went, "Dude, that is gorgeous. Where'd you get that?" I made it.
Yeah.
Like, well, can I license it from you? And I'm like, oh my gosh, yes. So I give them some money. They let me have the image. And,
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, the fact
Right.
that you are, there's an amazing array, whether you think of yourself this way or not. I can assure you that within this room, there's an amazing array of talent. And you might be sitting next to somebody you have no idea is a brilliant artist, you know, and you might even be that brilliant artist. So yeah, we echo what David just said. We love it when you bring that kind of stuff up. I mean,
I was at a show in New York once, and I walked past, and the guy was making action figures out of pipe cleaners, right? And he had this beautiful version of Trunks with the sword out of pipe cleaners, right? I mean, that's like pretty unique. And I'm like, oh, okay, so the mom doesn't get any love? Like, what's happening here? Where you got Trunks, where's Bulma? And he goes, not really a fan of Bulma. And I was like, okay, I don't blame you. Yeah, she's kind of whiny, I know. I hate it when she does that. Anyway, so I walked off, and the guy next to him was floored. He was like, don't you know what it is? And so the next day he walks up to my booth and hands me he'd stayed up all night and made me a little pipe cleaner version of Bulma.
And did you go like this? I don't want it. Mic drop.
Oh great, I get to clean all my pipes out now.
You know, that kind of thing has happened to me before, except it was my son. I walked into his room one day and I was like, what are you doing? He goes, watching anime on his phone, you know. I go, really? What are you watching? Soul Eater. It's like, oh, you know, your old man plays Lord Death. He goes, yeah, I'm watching the Japanese version. Get out. Well, Dad, this is my room. I'm like, no, get out of my house.
My husband had never seen Dragon Ball at all before we got married. And then I hadn't toured in like 8 years because I was living in New Orleans and nobody knew who I was or what I did. And so I escaped to my past. I ran. No, I had a book an autograph signing at a bookstore over on the North Shore in New Orleans, and we went, and there was in his father and stepmother who recently passed, Nana, and they were like, oh my gosh, would you look at that? And they're from New Jersey. They're like, there's like a line outside of all around the building. I wonder who they're here to see. And then they realized that it was me, and he was like, what the hell is going on here? Who are you? And so now he watches it with my daughter. And where are you guys now on the series, Jared?
Time to wake up.
Did I get turned into chocolate and eaten yet? Why is that funny? It is the only time in DBZ lore, though, that Bulma dies.
Ah.
And she gets brought right back. Any other questions out there for us?
Yeah.
Hi, darling.
Hello. I had a question for Tiffany.
Yes.
Out of all of Bulma's hairstyles, which one is your favorite?
Oh, dude, Afro. Yes! It's down. It's all about the fro, baby. You know, and I do like that because it's funny that she's such a fashionista with like the worst taste in fashion. I mean, you know, designer brand Bulma across the chest. But you know, that was when she was like getting her moves on Vegeta. So, you know, that was pretty special. She like went to the salon and got her hair did and stuff, you know? And I will say too, the cosplay for that, there was a girl, I don't remember if it was at Kameha Con, but she cosplayed as the Bulma Afro wig, and it was, when she showed me a picture of it when she got it, and it was long and straight, like down, you know, really long. And she ratted it out and made the most amazing Bulma wig I have ever seen in my entire life. And you know, cosplay like that, that's why I like to MC the cosplay contests every year, is because there's so much creativity and imagination, and we love it when you guys dress up like us. It's super fun with the characters and whatnot, but it's still, and as a makeup artist and a teacher and an instructor, I just was blown away by the work of this woman. She made
That's awesome.
Afro wig.
Very cool.
Right here.
What is your favorite character's line you guys like doing the most?
Of any of
Of any of your characters.
Okay.
What was your favorite line that you guys remember the most?
With a wider selection of boar's heads.
gosh, I don't know.
My go-to line, I guess, is, yep, it's me. I'm as smart as I am beautiful. I will, one of my favorites, though, is my brother was at a baseball game in Iowa. He lives in Iowa, and the umpire had made a bad call. And over the loudspeaker, he heard, "You jerk!" And he was like, "Oh, that's my sister." Like, out of nowhere, like they played it over the loudspeakers, like, "You jerk."
Awesome.
Oh, that's my sister.
Yeah, good. Anybody else got a question? Did you have one?
I'm
sorry, Dave.
I don't know. Gosh, the Recoome one is fun. Recoome, rhymes of doom. You'll see me all too soon. You've heard that 40,000 times. But the one that kind of kicked it off, that changed my life, was Commander Rat Trap, what a pleasant surprise. It shall avail you not. No, side guns. And that's Megatron from Beastwars. Yes. That was sort of like the whole. And I remember I talked to somebody who asked me today. The most surreal moment was that we did our first BotCon. It was in Rochester, New York, and everything was full. The stadium of people, and somebody waved the bag and says, "Mr. Kaye, can you say excellent?" And I went, excellent, yes. And the whole thing went, and I went, oh, so that's what Eddie Van Halen feels like. And it was
Right?
I had no idea how big Transformers was. I grew up with Bugs Bunny and all those things, and all that stuff. So yeah, that was sort of what kicked it off. My whole career went, okay, well, I want to stop doing radio and doing all that stuff. I just want to do that.
Misogynistic stunts.
Yes, misogynistic stunts.
Yeah.
It's just, he was fun to do, and that started everything, so.
That's awesome.
Hi, I'm Austin Weiser. Are you interested in becoming a voice actor or learning more about the voice acting craft? I've taken classes from Elise Baughman. She has private and group classes that she teaches, and I've learned to hone my confidence as an actor, to really dive deep into characters, and to really have fun and experiment. Check out EliseCoaches.com and sign up today.
Anybody?
In the very, very back.
Back over there? It was a weird one because I'd played a lot of villains, and I liked it because it's very Shakespearean. It's very debate. Megatron is very, if I do this, this will happen. But if I do that, this maybe, it shall avail you not. No. But when Optimus came along, I was driving through Chinatown. It's Chinatown, Jack, forget about it. It's, that old movie.
Yeah.
I was driving through Chinatown. It was 2000, when was it, 6 or something. And heading downtown LA, and my agent called and says, "Hey, good news." That's how agents all sound. "Hey, good news."
Every single one of them.
And so they want to book you for, trying to go, because I expected, because Sue Blue, I emailed Sue Blue and said, "Hey, here you're casting for Transformers, I'd love to read for it." She goes, "Oh my God, honey, yeah." So I read for Megatron, I read for the characters. I didn't read for Optimus Prime and animated, and they brought me into Cartoon Network, and they read me for characters. Of course, Megatron, I did my thing, and everyone's laughing, and I saw some familiar faces behind the glass, or like meerkats going, and then Sue says, "Hey, honey, could you grab the Optimus sides and go have a look? Blah, blah, blah." I go, "Yeah, okay, sure." So I went out and studied. Somebody else came in, a couple people, and I went back in, and they said, "We're having trouble finding an Optimus," and Tom Hanks was kind of a model, his sort of style of voice, and they wanted. So I said, I don't know, and I just started talking, transform and roll out, Bumblebee, and this sort of, I used my voice, but this is basically what it was. And I could see them kind of like talking and laughing, and well, this is encouraging. And then I went away, and I got called, driving through Chinatown, they want to book you for the thing. And I expected her to say, so they're going to, Megatron, and she said, they want you for Optimus Prime. I go, my silence, I remember turning on to Temple Avenue, heading up toward Disney Concert Hall. I remember exactly. And I said, so you mean like Megatron? And she goes, no, they want you for Optimus Prime. I said, well, how's that gonna work? And she said, what do you mean? So, oh, never mind. I just realized that, that they just give me a role, and I'm like arguing with her. No, I want the other one. So it took a few episodes to get used to the fact that I was, you know, the good guy in all this, and to find the voice, it took kind of 3 or 4 episodes in. Every time Sue Blue would say, okay, Megatron, I'd start to stand up, and I go, oh, that's not me, it's Corey. It's Corey Burton to play. But it took a bit, but it was so much fun doing that. It was weird being the good guy for once, because until that point I played a lot of villains. Because I think they are fun.
But so, and I, like you, David, I play a lot of bad guys.
I got to play evil baby once.
Yeah, they're fun, they're right.
Did you find that, I mean, was that like one of those happy mistakes or
Oh,
happy
sure.
night, you know
You
what I
never
mean?
know, because that's the thing. You never know. You have to be, when you go in to read, you be prepared for anything, because they're going to read you for different roles. But I wasn't prepared for that, and it was one of those like, oh, so it was a bit of a head slap, but a very, very happy one, because the people we work with, you know, in that dance, Weird Al Yankovic show up, and I was used to coming from Vancouver, where they said Weird Al Yankovic on a script. That meant that they're going to get somebody who sounds like Weird Al, or someone who sounds like, you know, Lance Henriksen, who was on my flight coming down. Remember Lance Henriksen, the character actor? He was in on Animated, and I worked beside him. And you go with these people, you realize, oh, that's right, we're here, they live here. And I couldn't wrap my head around the fact that they are here. I walked in, and there's Weird Al looking at me. And I go, hey, Weird. I said, weird.
Was it weird?
It was weird. I said, I mean, I'm sorry. He goes, no, man, that's cool. Yeah, it's all right. You know, you can call it whatever you want.
I just wrote a song about that.
And so it was my introduction to been commuting from Vancouver for 10 years to LA, and in 2007 we moved down, and so to work with these people, to me, was like, I kept, again, what am I doing here? You know, but I'm glad I was, and you know, that whole thing happened. That's a long-winded answer to your question, I'm sorry. But that's, yeah, I'm as flabbergasted as anybody when they call me. You know.
So I have the exact opposite experience of that. This was not even anime, it was a TV show called Friday Night Lights, and I auditioned for this character for a football coach, and it's going to be a recurring character, and I'm very excited about it, you know, and I go into audition, and I get home, and I get a phone call a couple days later. Okay, you got a call back. I'm like, great. Okay, they're going to read you for Coach Granger. I was like, Coach Granger? No, I think you mean Coach Hopkins. No, they say Coach Granger. I'm like, well, Coach Granger's the coach that quit, so the new coach can come in. I'm like, but you know, again, you're like, I'm thrilled to be cast, and I ended up getting it, but I'm like, I'm the guy that, you know,
gets canned.
Screw you kids, I quit! And I walk off, you know, and then here comes Coach Hopkins, I'm your new coach, you know, and I'll be in the rest of the series.
Yeah.
Yay me.
Anybody else? Where are we? I can see.
Yeah, over here.
My question is for Tiffany. I had a chance to ask Monica, but never you. Is there one Chris Sabat moment that is your absolute favorite? And is there one moment that was the most difficult for you to do in the series?
Chris Sabat?
Yes.
What about it?
What's your favorite Chris Sabat moment? And is there
Bulma moment. You mean like Vegeta and Bulma?
Yes. And was there a Bulma moment that was the most difficult for you?
Sure. I mean, the whole wooing of Vegeta and the whole, like, you need a bath. That is my favorite moment with Vegeta, because I'm winning at this point. I don't get to be a Disney princess, but I get to be the princess of all Saiyans, which is great. So, and then Bulma, yeah, so I really loved doing the history of Trunks, the movie. It was really the most in-depth we get with Bulma. We get to see her not as this two-dimensional, but we see her as a mother. We get the more serious side of her. She becomes this really multi-dimensional person, as opposed to, you know, the whiny lady that complains all the time, but is super genius and really hot. I mean, you know, can't do that all day, every day. But I tried real hard. So I really loved the history of Trunks, and John Bergmeyer was my director for that, and I really loved working with him. I felt like he brought some beautiful things out of me as Bulma, more so than a lot of other directors. So.
So we got time for like one, maybe two questions. So we'll get you and then you. So we'll go here first, and then we'll go over here.
This is really one for John and David. Similar to Tiffany's story, you don't have any defined voiceovers and not the line characters aren't defined.
You use your powers for evil.
Yes. Yeah, that's what he's asking, yeah. Gosh, I don't know.
Well, I mean, for me, in all honesty, and I hope this doesn't sound like a chicken answer, but for me, you know, when you go in and you do it, and this was actually certainly more pre-pandemic, but you go into a studio, you do your stuff, and then you go to another studio and you do your stuff, and then you go over to this studio and you work for an hour over there, and blah, 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 and you just kind of ping-ponging around, and I mean, sometimes I just forget what I've done. I mean, I did this character, now I've got to switch gears and do this character, and then I got to switch gears and do this character, and so it's hard to go, that was my most favorite moment. That's a terrible answer, but it's
No, but I mean, I think
it's
that
the
like
truth. It's just, you know, sometimes people go, I loved you as blah, 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 and such, and I'm like, cool. I didn't even know I was in that.
I always talk about GT that way. You know, like people are like, yeah, GT, and I'm like, you know, anybody have that reoccurring dream, like where you went to college, but you didn't, you're like, you graduated, and you're like, how did I pass that class? I never went.
Yeah.
That class. You know, you have that dream, it's like, I'm supposed to go to that class so I can graduate. I feel like GT was like that for me. Like I didn't, like I know I was there. I'm in the credits, but I don't remember.
Well, and for Dodoria, if it was live action, it'd be great.
Yeah.
Because Dodoria's there,
yeah.
he just doesn't say anything. So as a voice actor, the late Chris Ayers, who was Frieza.
There's a thing for him here somewhere.
Oh, there's a really cool tribute thing out in the hallway. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. But he would, when he was directing at Sentai, he would call me in, and I'd go in, and he was a smoker, and he always carried a giant mug of Coke, and he's like, John, walk with me. And we're walking, and we go sit down, and he's like smoking cigarettes, and he goes, so I'm working on this brand new show, and I was watching it the other night, getting my prep ready and everything, and I just saw this one character, and I was like, oh my God! There's only one person that can play that character. Only one that I know of, John Swasey. I was like, well, God, thank you, Chris. I appreciate that, man. Thanks for bringing me in. Tell me a little bit about him. Well, his name is Soldier B. He doesn't really say much, but he is everywhere in the show. I'm like, well, great, thanks. That's anecdotal, but it just, it's just so, I feel like that's Vegeta, he's just always there.
Yeah. Where were you when you realized you were famous? Like, I mean, like when did it really ooh, that's cool? Or I mean, is it?
My wife and I were flying over to, when I get invited, I don't know if it's this way with you guys, but when I get invited to a convention in Sulphur, Louisiana, my wife says, have fun.
Yeah.
When I get invited to one in Dublin, Ireland, she's like, and here are my bags. So we're flying over to Dublin, Ireland. Neither one of us had ever been to Europe before. We're flying over to Dublin, and on the plane, we're having our cocktail, and I said, listen, I don't know how to tell you this, so I'm just gonna be blunt. But in the world of anime, I'm kind of a big deal. And she's like, you're what? I said, well, I'm just saying the voice actors are like celebrities. I mean, that's why we've been invited to Dublin, Ireland. She's like, whatever, ding, ding, I'm gonna need another drink, And
we are going to the bar after this,
yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Okay.
So anyway, we land in Dublin, we get our luggage, we go through customs, and we come out in the waiting area, and there's like 5 people with signs. Welcome to Ireland, we love you, John Swasey. And my wife's like, oh my God. And I said, I told you, honey. And she goes, okay, whatever. So we get in the car. Well, later that day, we're on a train, and our liaison is this girl named Sinead, and she's helping us make sure we get to where we're going and all this sort of thing. And she looks at my wife and she goes, you're so lucky. My wife goes, what are you talking about? He goes, well, you're married to John Swasey. My wife goes, so? She goes, well, I mean, you get to be with him all the time, you get to laugh with him, joke with him, you get to sleep with him. And my wife goes, well, he's no big deal. So I went from being famous, not to famous. All right, we got one last question here.
This one's kind of a fun one. If you could swap places for any of your colleagues for one day, what role do you think that you would have the most fun with? So, like, for example, if Tiffany was trying to do her best Savage Piccolo impression or something like that.
Probably not that one. You know, I really thought I wanted to be Chi-Chi when I auditioned because I was doing deduction math. Like, well, okay, I don't know anything about the show, but I know that Goku's like the main guy, and this is his wife. So chances are, if I get to be her, I get a lot of screen time, right? And then I just ended up on Namek and thought my voice career was over. But I really loved Launch. And I thought she would be super fun to play because she just gets to switch it on and off, and you know, I want to be bipolar. Don't we all?
Do you have a?
On an anime show? Or
Just
any role? Geez, I don't know. I mean, I worked on some of the Star Wars franchises, you know, but there's a lot of stuff that I would like to have done.
You want to be Boba Fett too, huh?
Yeah.
Yep, everybody does.
Yeah. No, just one of those weird characters, and I don't know. That's a tough one, man. That's a tough one. But yeah, anything in Star Wars is. I mean, I collect all those toys too. So
I had dinner with Chewbacca and R2-D2.
Oh, I went Dallas. That's one of the last times in Dallas was years ago when
Kenny Baker talked like this all the time. Kenny Baker,
I
yeah,
know,
he talked like
and
that.
like
And like
Kenny,
yeah, you know, we see with him and his wife, and I hung out with Boba Fett, and I thought, oh, that'd be kind of Peter Mayhew's talk like that all the time, you know. It's you got little Kenny Baker, Peter Mayhew talking like that, and I just thought, just to hang out with these guys, you know, I would like to be a Han Solo, just you know, and hang out. I mean, that's all I have. And,
I did, if you were a Texas actor back in the 90s, you most likely worked on a Walker Texas Ranger, and I
watched the hell out of that.
I worked on a few of them, I had the good fortune and whatnot, so I really thought I should have been the Chuck Norris character. Because I thought, you know what, Chuck? You fought Bruce Lee. I mean, yeah, you're ripped, you're a stud, and of course you're gonna win. But if this guy walks up and kicks some butt, that's impressive. So, you know. Guys, how about a big hand for David? Tiffany. My name is John. Please come see us at our tables if you haven't. We'll be here for the rest of the day, and thank you so much for supporting what we do. And there's another great panel, I think, coming up, so stick around and enjoy.